5 words. Brilliant, fantastic, pride, passion, and victory.
A remarkable comeback victory for the West Indies.
It was Brian Lara's first game as captain for the West Indies, so he was under tremendous pressure. India with a very, very strong batting lineup, and we didn't play all that well.
He's given him.
In the air, high in the air. Ganguly safely caught.
That's it, all over. Well, would you believe it? What an anticlimax.
We gave them like 120 to win, which of course is a very, very small total.
The mindset then was a mixture of hope and expectation because the pitch had become uneven. We felt we had a chance of winning the game, but it was also one where we know the margin of error was very small. So there was a lot of planning, as far as I could remember, the night before that final bowling effort, identifying each batter and who would bowl at them.
But we were confident we could defend those small total because the pitch was playing up and down. They were playing some tricks. So we figured if we bowled in right areas, maybe between wicket and wicket, and some keeping low, we may in with a chance. But in the back of our minds, we know how strong the batting lineup is for India. One tend to forget that Franklin Rose had a magnificent spell that really started a slide, really, where he got some key wickets, and Ian Bishop himself came into the attack as well. So Franklin Rose, I would say, was really responsible for the slide, and then we finished it off.
Oh, how do you play that? How do you play that? That's out. You have no chance of playing that.
Franklin was incisive with that new ball, getting the ball to lift, getting the ball to sort of move off the deck, and he could get that leg cutter going from wide of the crease, which provided an extra degree of difficulty for batters. So deliveries to get Dravid, to get I think Navjot Singh Sidhu were absolutely superb.
He's bowled in.
Momentum is important because sometimes when you've gained the upper hand, you tend to feel invincible, your confidence is sky high, and you figure you can do anything, you can do no wrong.
Momentum is not a word that I use at all, but it did give us great confidence when Franklin, who was a big part of the planning as well, in using the new ball because of that shape he could get, that leg cutter, that outswinger that he could bowl with the new ball. So once he opened the door, it just gave us that lift that we needed for other bowlers to then step up and continue creating inroads. One thing really stands out in terms of Brian's leadership before that eventful final day. We talk a lot about Sachin Tendulkar, and it was a period in Tendulkar's career where Brian identified that his extra cover driving or his cover driving, while it was a thing of beauty to many, was also an element of risk. And to particularly have someone like myself who bowled a little gentle outswinger in comparison to maybe one or two of us who hit the deck and shifted the ball about, that it would be tactically the appropriate thing to try to draw that cover drive out of Sachin Tendulkar, which for us was a big wicket.
Edged and taken by Lara. This is a big blow for India. Brian Lara's done it.
I've said this publicly many times that Sachin Tendulkar, I have a great appreciation for his batting, but as an opposing batter, he was the most difficult opposition batter that I bowled against. His ability to hit good deliveries for four. So to get him out, I thought after Franklin Rose's work was sort of the crux, the linchpin of the batting being removed. Yeah, because it was Sachin, and I love him as a person, but also because of the planning that went into the wicket. I don't think there's any greater joy for a bowler than when you plan for something to happen and it happens precisely the way that you had constructed it. A lot of wickets come by accident, but to get such a great batsman in identical fashion, I thought was very satisfactory.
Bish, he was really, very emotional because he doesn't show much of that, but he knew how important that game was and that wicket. And of course, we all know Sachin, that's a big fish. And once he went, that even gave us more hope that we could get over the line.
You could look at the batsmen coming out post, let's say, Franklin Rose's burst, post the Tendulkar wicket, and you saw in their eyes, you saw in their body language that they weren't sure how to approach batting against our bowling unit on that surface. So, yeah, fast bowlers, I think they smelled the fear, and it certainly looked then that we had the upper hand.
He's bowled in. This time he's beaten the outside edge and found the off stump. So the tall man has struck.
I played against Azruddin quite a bit, and I knew he had his style to jump in the air and whip through the onside. And in my mind, I was saying, because the wicket is playing up and down, if I bowl straight enough and one keeps low, he could be in trouble. And with Ganguly, the same thing. I said, just bowl straight, looking to hit the stumps, because the ball was keeping low. And it worked in my favor.
That kept very, very low. Azruddin could do nothing about it. Ambrose strikes.
We knew they had good batting. They had depth in their batting. But we knew once we get the key players out, the Javeds and the Gangulys and, of course, the great man Sachin Tendulkar, we figure we'll in with a chance. But we didn't take it for granted because we knew they bat deep.
In the air, Holder's waiting for it. That's it.
Once we get to a particular point in the game where all the big guns were already back in the pavilion, we thought it's a formality. The lower half of the batting, 8, 9, 10, 11, I don't think they will have to withstand us because we were really super confident then. And we believe, having dismissed the great players, the other guys would have been easy pickings.
We didn't speak a lot. It was just a matter of really each bowler continuing to pursue the plan with no let-off, with Nayan Mangia and those guys at the back end. You always knew there was some batting talent, even if they weren't confident. So no words needed to be spoken.
He's bowled Emir, leaving that one that came back and just kissed the off stump on the way. So the West Indians striking after lunch.
This time that's in the air and will be out. Roland Holder is the catcher. Currently Ambrose doesn't usually take wickets like that. That's it. The third test match is over and won in dramatic style by the West Indian Brian Lara in his first test as captain of these great islands. Goes to hug his fellow Trinidadian Ian Bishop, who finishes with 4 wickets, and Brian Lara can barely believe this has happened.
I was on my knees because we had not experienced an Indian team coming to the Caribbean and winning a test series in our generation, and therefore to keep that record going by the slimmest of margins, because India were very competitive in the test match and perhaps will think to themselves they should have won the test match. So to keep that stretch of victories over India in the Caribbean was a relief, but also a fulfillment of good bowling plans.
Man, it was one of the best feelings you can ever have in winning a game. Because, like I said before, more than once, to defend 120 against that Indian batting lineup, no one gave us a chance. We had our supporters, but in the back of their minds, they figured, boy, this is going to be tough. So to me, it was a really, really nice feeling. And to win by 30 runs or so, even make it more special. It wasn't even close in the end.